Joining us now, Rhode Island Congressman and member of the House Judiciary Committee, David Cicilline. Congressman, welcome.
Good to be with you.
There are conservatives worried that big tech is censoring conservative thought. Do you understand their alarm about that?
Well, as you know, we just completed a 16-month investigation of the large technology platforms on the Antitrust Subcommittee of the full Judiciary Committee. We didn't see any evidence during the course of that investigation of censorship of big tech, but we certainly found problems with the current business model. These are monopolies. They have monopoly power. They are incapable of regulating themselves, and people can easily disseminate false information which incites violence without really any limitation. And so we need major reforms in this. We need major antitrust enforcement. Our report details pages of recommendations. This was a bipartisan investigation. We produced a nearly 400-page report, and I think you can expect Congress to take up those issues. But we also have to be very concerned about the use of social media platforms to disseminate false information that invokes and incites violence. We've seen platforms used repeatedly for that purpose. These platforms have to do a much better job of preventing people from using their platforms to organize and execute violence and other harms.
We've heard concerns from some on the left and on the right about big tech. Are you expecting concrete actions in this Congress as it relates to big tech?
Yes. I mean, this investigation has been very bipartisan all throughout it. There's real consensus on the state of the marketplace and the necessity of restoring competition in the digital marketplace. I think there's a lot of consensus around most of the recommendations, not all of them, but I expect to move forward with significant reforms of the social media platforms and to bring more competition and really deal with the monopoly power of these large technology platforms in the next Congress. And I think there's bipartisan support for it. There's tremendous support among the American people.
To impeaching President Trump, make your case for this article of impeachment that you're evidently prepared to introduce as soon as tomorrow.
Well, I will introduce an article of impeachment along with just about 200 as of right now, and I expect that number to grow, original co-sponsors. What we witnessed on Wednesday was an attack on our democracy, an insurrection against the government of the United States during the sacred ritual of the Electoral College, which is when millions and millions of Americans' voices are heard. That is, the vote is officially recorded and the new president officially elected and the peaceful transition of power. These domestic terrorists went to the Capitol in an effort to disrupt that proceeding, incited by the president to do so, and in the hopes that they would keep the president in power and prevent the orderly and peaceful transition of power. We cannot allow that kind of attack on our democracy, an attempted coup d'etat, to occur without consequence. And I know there are some people who think, oh, the president's leaving in 10 days. Let's just overlook it. Look, we took an oath to defend and protect the Constitution and our democracy. That responsibility falls to us. We have no other choice. Resignation would be preferable. Invocation of the 25th Amendment would be preferable. But those two things aren't going to happen, so Congress is obligated under our oath of office to move forward and impeach this president.
I want to play a clip from your colleague, Jim Jordan, Republican of Ohio, and I'll ask you to respond.
Impeachment is for a sitting president, and the president, if the Democrats pursue this, could not have a trial until after he has left office. So I think it's got real constitutional problems, but most importantly, it's not healthy for the nation.
So what about that? There's talk about maybe having a trial 100 days after Joe Biden takes office. Isn't that potentially a big distraction and perhaps waste of time?
Well, I don't think it's a waste of time. I think it's not a waste of time for everyone in this country and around the world to see us stand up and defend against an effort to overthrow a duly elected president and to engage in a coup d'etat, which is what these terrorists did on Wednesday. Killing, 5 people died, significant damage, dozens of law enforcement personnel hurt. We cannot just simply say that's okay. They need to see us stand up and hold those people accountable, everyone, including the president and everyone else who's responsible for that. In terms of the president leaving office, look, the impeachment by the House would happen before the president leaves office. There's a legal opinion that says an impeachment, a removal, that is, the trial can happen subsequent to his departure. There's precedence for that already, so that's not an issue. And the question about whether it's a distraction, the Senate will decide when to take up this proceeding, and the Speaker will obviously decide when to transmit the article if it is passed by the House. Our responsibility in the House is If we see impeachable conduct of the president, we have a responsibility to impeach him, and I expect that's what we'll do this week.
Congressman David Cicilline, thanks so much for your time. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too.